Well, hello there, friends and family. I'm coming to you tonight. This is around 6 p.m. on the 3rd of February. And what we'd like to talk about now is give you a little update on the numbers of the coronavirus as it is now currently spreading throughout the planet, as well as what we know about it, what has been confirmed. And that being said, based on what is confirmed, what we can do to prevent us from being infected. That means me, my children, my grandson, my family, my friends, which many of you have become my friends. So, here are the numbers. And this is a website that John Hopkins Hospital keeps track of and has just been updated about 15 minutes ago. So, according to them, there are now 19,856 cases worldwide. That's a significant increase. Total deaths, 426. But on the plus side now, we have total recovered, 622. Now we also have events over the weekend that have come to light in the U.S., and that's where I live, in the United States of America. Currently, confirmed cases are at 11. On Sunday, there were 2 more confirmed cases in Santa Clara, California. Today, there were another 2 cases confirmed in San Benito, California. So currently, right now, California has 6 cases. And we're going to zoom in on the OUS. So we have right here in San Jose, or Santa Clara County, 2 confirmed cases. Then we have another 2 confirmed cases, which came out today, in San Benito, California. As well as 1 confirmed case in Los Angeles, and another confirmed case in Orange County. This makes, like I say, California now has 6 confirmed cases. Another thing to note here about California, that is the most populous state in the U.S. I think right now their current population is somewhere around 39.9 million. But there is also still the case up here in Seattle, or I think it's actually in Everett outside Seattle, and that's 1 case. Then we have a case down in Arizona, confirmed, and that's in Tempe, Arizona. And then we have another case over here in Boston that also was confirmed yesterday. In Boston, Massachusetts, 1 confirmed case, making the total 11 as of today. So that's a significant increase here in the last day or 2 over the weekend. If you go down here and look at this particular graph beneath the map, right now you can see the spread is increasing. Yesterday, on the 1st of February, it was reported at 17.2. Today they're saying this is February the 2nd, but it's actually February the 3rd, 19.7. So what all does that mean, and why is all of this important? Well, why is this all important is for the simple fact is over the period of the last week, cases throughout the world have increased 3 times. That does not bode well for not only the containment of this new coronavirus or the curtailment of it. And what we're going to be looking into, like I said, is we're going to be looking at what we know as a fact. They are confirmed traits or aspects of the novel coronavirus. And with that also, we're going to be looking at what that means to us and what we can do, both myself, my family, and you and your family can do to prevent infection and possibly make it to where either this virus fizzles out or a vaccine is formulated, tested, manufactured, and available to the general population. So stay with me, and we'll go ahead and flip over here to another slide and start going through what we know right now tonight. So here we are. This is the coronavirus confirmed conclusions. When I mean confirmed, these are generally accepted based on case studies, the data coming out from patient data in China, and has been reviewed by other governments, other health agencies around the world. So the first thing we want to discuss here is human-to-human transmission. That's now generally accepted worldwide. Even the U.S. CDC came out a couple of days ago, and they have also confirmed that as well. So that's a done deal. Indeed, you can get infected by another person. Simple as that. The second confirmed aspect of this virus is asymptomatic transmission of the virus before the onset of illness or symptoms. And what does that mean? Well, that means, let us say you are infected by the virus. You don't know you're infected. You go about your daily lives and daily routine, unknowing to you, you are infected with the novel coronavirus, and you are capable of infecting others. In other words, your family, your co-workers, your friends, people you come in close contact with, whether that's in public transportation, which would be buses, trains, subways, or planes, at your workplace, at areas that are of entertainment venues such as sporting events, movies. Hell, it could be school plays, or going to visit your school and meet with teachers or whatever. So that has been confirmed, and the U.S. CDC has also confirmed that as well. And that came about from a couple of different studies, one of which I reported on in a previous video. It was a case study from Munich, Germany, where they looked at 4 different cases that they had at the time. Now, understanding this, Germany is now up to 12 confirmed cases. And that study that I referred to in my previous video was conducted on January the 30th and was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, which I left a link to in the previous video. So asymptomatic transmission has been confirmed. Now, what does that mean for most of us? That means that this novel coronavirus is becoming extremely hard to contain and extremely hard to curtail. For the simple reason is there's people out there right now that have been infected. They don't know they've been infected, and therefore they are infecting others. They just don't know any better. So that's not a good thing. The third thing we know for sure, and this is similar to all coronaviruses, as well as, any virus, as well as the seasonal annual influenza virus, and that's transmission of the virus during symptomatic period. And what does that mean? Well, that means during the period that you do have fever, you do have other symptoms, such as, respiratory distress and what have you, you are capable of infecting others while you're going through the symptomatic stage of the virus. It's quite common. It was common in SARS and common in MERS. It's common in minor coronaviruses, which cause the common cold. So this is nothing new. The fourth one here, and this is the one that disturbed me quite a bit a couple of days ago when I made my last video. Because I thought I had a plan, and then when this cropped up, here again this came about from a case study by the Germans from their 4 cases in Munich, Germany. And what they found was that those 4 individuals, patients, once they recovered from the virus, in other words, they didn't show any more symptoms. For all intents, they were recovered. Didn't have fevers, they didn't have respiratory distress, they weren't coughing, they weren't sneezing, whatever have you. Well, they went ahead and tested them again through test which is known as a PCR, test and analysis. And what happened was, instead of coming up negative, they came up positive. And what does that mean? That means, one, they were still had the virus active in their bodies or their systems. Secondly, these PCR tests showed that they had a high viral loading of 10 to the 8th power, which is extremely high, which meant the virus inside their bodies was still multiplying and replicating. Thirdly, it showed that they were shedding the virus, and this is the part that's the most concerning. Because they were shedding the virus, which means they were capable of infecting others, even though they had totally recovered from the virus in all symptoms. Now, why is this extremely bad? Well, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to understand this. If people recover and then they are still capable of infecting others, this becomes similar to AIDS and HIV. In the case of AIDS and HIV, once a person is infected with AIDS or HIV, they are infectious for the remainder of their lifetime. And that's just a fact, Jack. It's just the way it is. And anybody that exchanges bodily fluids with them will indeed become infected. We all know that. So this becomes very similar to the AIDS HIV virus, which it too is a virus. And what makes this extremely, extremely important is this is unlike any other coronavirus. This is unlike the coronaviruses that cause common cold. SARS, which was a coronavirus, was not infectious after symptoms subsided and abated. In other words, the people had recovered. The same was true for the MERS virus, which was also a coronavirus. These people, whether they had SARS or MERS, once they survived and recovered, they were no longer infectious. And this is where, based on this study from Munich, Germany, on their cases, is different. Now, as of yet, even though many physicians and other experts are talking about this, a few have come out and also pointed this out. But many others, even though they bring up the fact that the German case study shows asymptomatic transmission prior to the onset of symptoms, they make no mention of post-symptomatic infectious capability from recovering patients. And this is disturbing to me. So is it true? And if it is true, what does this mean for us? Well, what it means is obvious. If this is indeed the normal for even a percentage of coronavirus recovering patients, this means there will be carriers of the virus out there in the general public for some point in time. Now, we still don't know right now at this moment how long after they recover they're still infectious. How long they are infectious still remains to be seen. Is this 2 days, 10 days, 30 days, 6 months, or forever? No one knows right at this time. Should this be the case, and there's absolutely no doubt, if number 2 wasn't bad enough, that people are able to infect others before they know they even have the coronavirus, number 4 here, in fact, that some people can, based on this German case study, infect others after recovery, makes this novel coronavirus totally impossible to contain and curtail until one of 2 things happen. And the first of those one things that would have to happen to contain and curtail the novel coronavirus would be the development of a vaccine. The vaccine would have to be formulated, it would have to be tested, then manufactured, and then made available to the general public, at which time people would be vaccinated against the novel coronavirus, and at that some point would contain the spread and curtail the virus. The second scenario would be that a vaccine either takes way too long to come to fruition and be offered to the general public, which at some point in time every last person on the planet is infected with the novel coronavirus, which at some point in time, once that is accomplished, however long that takes, but here again I hope a vaccine comes about prior to that, would eventually stop the spread and curtail the virus. This would be similar in reference to like chickenpox. Chickenpox is a rather common virus. Many of us, well, most of us had it in our childhoods. And once we had it, and once we recovered from it, we still all carried the virus. For many of us, we can also have a second outbreak of something similar to the chickenpox, which is normally called shingles, and that happens in people of more older years, age 50 and upwards. So it's still prevalent in our systems. And should this coronavirus have the ability to replicate, stay alive in our systems, and we become carriers, should we survive it, then we would be on the same stance as such viruses as chickenpox. It's just out there. It's out there forever. So that is definitely not a good thing, and that was definitely what set me back and made me just stop doing videos and sit down and think, what to do now. Now the fifth thing we know, and that is the incubation period. The incubation period right now is on average 7 days, and this is reported by the Chinese Ministry of Health. There are other accompanying studies that show it's on average anywhere from 5 to 6 days. Our U.S. CDC is still saying it's anywhere from 2 to 14 days. And that's not wrong, because even from the data coming out of China by the Chinese Ministry of Health, they're showing cases that have had as little as 2 days incubation period to 10 days to 14 days. So I can understand why the U.S. CDC is saying from 2 to 14. That covers the whole gambit of the incubation period. Why is this important? Well, that just gets back to fact number 2 about it being asymptomatic transmission of the virus before the onset of illness or symptoms. The shorter period of time that a person is able to be infectious and spread the disease is more desirable than a longer period of time. This makes common sense. Now the sixth thing we know is the transmission rate, which is the ability of people to infect others, is between 3 and 4. And this is the RO or R0 value of the virus, or referred in the medical profession as the R0 value. Now for the current novel coronavirus, based on current data and studies that are released and available, like I said, this is considered to be 3 to 4. Now to put that in perspective, the seasonal annual flu has an R0 value of 1.28, and we all know how infectious the flu is. On any given year, it can infect anywhere from 9.3 million people worldwide. That's in the U.S. 9.3 million people in the U.S. to over 49 million people in the U.S. So think about that. The novel coronavirus has an R naught of almost 3 to 4 times that of the seasonal annual flu. Here again you can see, based on this R naught value, how extremely hard it is going to be to contain it and curtail it. The seventh thing we know is how this coronavirus is transmitted, or how it infects others. Infection transmission is primarily by aerosol expelled droplets from coughing and sneezing. Of course, that's similar to influenza. It's also similar to SARS and MERS. In other words, we're infected. When we cough and sneeze, we expel via our cough and sneeze an aerosol that's containing small, tiny droplets of fluid. This fluid is infected with the novel coronavirus. Should these droplets land on someone's mouth, nose, or in their eyes, then they too are infected. But what's more important to note is the secondary route of infection, which is probably more concerning and more adamant than the first. It's during the course of this coughing and sneezing that these same droplets, you know what the old adage says, what goes up must come down, are expelled from you, your lungs, your nose, and they've got to go somewhere. Well, they're not going to go up and head to the moon, folks. They're going to fall, and they're going to fall on all types of surfaces, depending on where you are. I mean, if you're in your kitchen, this is going to be on cookware, on utensils, your countertops, your sinks, your faucets, what have you. If you're at your workplace, this could be at your deposited on your workstation. It could also be deposited on your desk, computer keyboard, mouse, you name it. Say you're riding public transit. Here again, this can be you're coughing and sneezing, you're expelling these droplets. Not only is it being deposited on people, but it's being deposited on seats, backrests, handholds, railings, and what have you. You get my drift. Then what happens is somebody comes along, somebody touches one of these contaminated surfaces that are contaminated with the virus. Then what they do is they touch their mouth, nose, rub their eyes, and there you go. They have self-infected themselves. Now this is why two measures are extremely important in controlling this virus. One is obviously wearing a mask. Not because a mask protects us from the aerosol droplets as much as it will contain these aerosol droplets from an infected person. And what I mean by that, let's say I'm infected and I'm coughing and sneezing, but I have a mask on. My mask is going to capture the majority of these aerosol-borne droplets within the mask. And I'm not spewing them out on all these different surfaces. You see what I mean? So that's important, right there. Secondly, and something we all have got to get a good mindset to, is good hand hygiene. Washing our hands. Washing our hands or cleaning our hands with an antiviral solution. Now they're saying we can use soap and we can do this for 20 seconds and rinse and we'll be fine. What I'm saying, piss on that. We need to have antiviral wipes or solutions such as alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, a bleach solution, something that, or other antiseptic, something like that, to wash our hands in and kill off the virus. That's my recommendation. Now, the eighth thing that we know is the mortality rate, or the number of deaths, which there's a lot of controversy around this number. This number is right now around 2 to 2.1%, which is really low. If you consider SARS was at 9.8%, of course, and this is where the controversy comes in. SARS, we can take a look at the total number of cases, which was 8,098. Total number of deaths, once it's finished and done after 8 months, was 774. That comes out to approximately 9.8% mortality rate. Where MERS, I don't remember the exact figures, but it came out to be 34.4%, if I remember correctly. I mean, it had under 3,000 confirmed cases, and I don't remember right offhand what the total deaths were. But anyway, it came out to 34.4%. The problem in this 2.1% everybody keeps spouting is we're comparing daily deaths in present time to present time confirmed cases, when in reality what we should be referring to is referring deaths to whenever the patient was at the very least showed signs of symptoms, if not even further back when the person was infected. That being the case, this would highly increase the mortality rate and death toll. And that's where the controversy between health professionals, government officials, and organizations is going on. So this is all what we know. Now the ninth thing is confirmed cases in the U.S., as I've already told you, are at 11 as of February the 3rd. So what can we do with all this information? Does it seem totally hopeless? So, like I said, does it seem totally hopeless? See, I don't think so. And maybe it's just because I'm not a quitter. I never will surrender. I never will go peacefully into the night. I've got children to take care of. I've got myself to take care of. And I'm just not ready to die right now, folks. I don't know about you. Now, I'm not ready to sit down in the corner and say, F it. It's over. If it gets me, it gets me. Unfortunately, many people I've encountered, that's their mindset. And unfortunately, that's my son's mindset. He's of that. It'll be what it'll be, Dad. If I survive, I survive. If I die, I die. Now, on the other hand, my daughter, which is the one I'm most concerned with, she has a very serious heart ailment. And my grandson is also prone to illness. She is starting to take precautions. And what are those precautions? She's starting to, or has been, stockpiling food, water, and other basic necessities, should in fact she need to isolate herself and my grandson from all of this. Of course, she knows, as does my son and my other daughter, that they are more than welcome to come here, and we will go into isolation together. I have more than enough here, I think, food-wise and resource-wise, to take care of all four of us. It's what I've been planning for. But the first thing that comes to mind is, when do you make the decision to, in fact, isolate yourself? And that is something that I've been thinking about over the last 3 days. But before I even thought about when, I had to think, what do I have, and is it enough? And when I mean that, of course, first thing you need to consider is food. Do you have enough for the period of time that it will be necessary to isolate yourself? And then you have to say, well, how long is that going to be? Well, in my mind, based on everything we know now, that is going to be till a vaccine has been found, tested, manufactured, and made available to the general public. That's my hope. It may never be, but that's my hope. So how long does that take? Well, in best estimates, people are optimistically saying that could be as little as 9 months to a year. Others are saying it's going to be a 1 year to 2 years. That's not so good. So at the very least, I've got to consider, do I have enough food to isolate myself where I don't leave this property for 2 years? That would be the minimum. But with that said, if we say 2 years is the minimum, not only do I have to have food, do I have water available till I can come up with a water source? Of course, if any of y'all watch my videos, I do have some natural water sources. I do have the capability, should I desire, to do some rain catchment. So I have that covered. But then I also got to consider things such as antiseptics. I have the mask covered. All of you who have watched previous video on masks know I've got masks covered. Full face respirators and full face gas masks, I have them, along with N95, surgical masks, and a whole plethora of different masks. So I got the mask covered in case I have to leave my home and property. Other things you have to consider is things such as vitamins and supplements, your prescription medications, which could become an issue depending on how bad of a pandemic this is. Currently, I have 4 months of the medications that I currently take. That's all they'll let me have, and there's not much I can do about that. But vitamins and supplements, other things that you would need, like over-the-counter medications for inflammation, excretion of mucus, phlegm and such things, cough suppression, all those type of medicines. And I'm not saying these would be a cure-all for the virus. They just help you deal with the symptoms, and hopefully your symptoms are mild, like they are in many of the cases reported. And with being able to treat the symptoms, you survive the novel coronavirus. Other things you're going to be needing is fuel. Here again, this relates back to how bad will it get. Is this going to be a global pandemic of scale which guys have never seen? I don't know. So you got to be looking at fuel. You got to be looking at a way, can I make electricity should I need to? So all these things are taken into consideration. What you need to do is basically look over your whole supply of preps and preparedness plan. And ask yourself this one basic question. Can I self-isolate and survive till a vaccine is available? Hopefully that's only 9 months. But worst case, should it be 2 years, can you do it? This is what I have looked at. This is what I am finalizing preparations for. I'm not saying you should do it. That's why I present all this. You need to take a look at your situation and decide for yourself. Now, many things that are going to come into play here is where you live. I happen to live in a very rural, small town of 5,000 or less. So that's going to limit the very chances of me being infected. Whereas if I had lived in a major city or large urban area, my chances of infection are going to go up exponentially. It's just a matter of math. Hence, Wuhan, China, city of 11 million. So we have cities like that all over America. We have New York at 8.9. And by the way, as of this evening, New York has a suspected case, and they're waiting on confirmation or non-confirmation from the CDC. The case in Seattle, another large city. A case in Los Angeles, another large city. Case in Temple, Arizona, no small city there either. Okay? 2 cases in Chicago, a major large city in the Midwest. My point being, your chances of infection are directly correlate with where you are. The more remote you are, the better chances you have on self-isolating yourself and surviving until a vaccine is made available to the general public. That's just only common sense. So that is what I'm preparing to do. Self-isolate for at least 6 to 9 months to a maximum of 2 years. Now, then begs the question of, when do I pull the trigger? When do I decide to self-isolate myself from humanity? And what I've thought about is this. My self-imposed isolation, when a confirmed case comes as close as 200-mile radius of my location, as the crow flies, and that's what's important. Viruses do not take highways. It's as the crow flies. So that will encompass almost every adjoining state. But why I do at that time, as soon as I know there's a confirmed case within 200 miles of me, I will look at all my preparations. I will make any decisions should I need to buy anything more. That might be antiseptics, paper towel, whatever it is. At that point, I will go out, damn the money, and I will buy every last thing I think I possibly humanly will need for up to 2 years. The reason I bring up paper towels is the fact that that's suggested. Instead of reusing towels to dry off your hands after you wash them, use disposable paper towels. And that's probably a good idea. Just throwing that in there for you. So, anything. Now, when that radius closes to confirmed cases with 100 miles of me, that will be my final check. At which time, I will go to the bank. I will draw out my monies. I will make any other final purchases that I need that will make me feel good about staying isolated for 2 years. And I will go ahead and initiate self-isolation here at my home and my property until our government announces they now have a vaccine available for the novel coronavirus. That's my plan. It may not be a good one, may not be adequate, but I know I can do it. And here again, like I'm telling all of y'all, you can look at this either way you want to. You can sit back like many now and say, well, screw it. It'll be what it'll be, and I'll just deal with the consequences. Now that's great. If you're in that age group that's 45 and younger. If you're in the age group of 45 to 65 and older, which also I didn't discuss, but has been proven, that contains still a significant majority of the patients that are not only being affected, but are dying from this. Also, if you happen to be a male, 66% of all confirmed cases have been male. No, it varies from anywhere from 56% to 66%. But being a male right now is not a good thing. Then, if you have secondary health conditions, you're also in that group that has a high infection rate as well as a high mortality rate. I just happen to be 64 years old, so I'm thrown right on in there. I also happen to have respiratory complications from health issues, such as emphysema and COPD. So, my only hope is self-isolation till a vaccine is found. And that's pretty much all I can tell y'all, folks. You got to take what I tell you, what everybody else tells you. Take a look at what you have on hand, what you can do. We're all not made of money. I understand all that. But the one thing I'm saying, money, you can't eat it. this may be better the time when it's better to spend the money than save it and give yourself the best possibility of survival, or just hold your money back and hope for the best. But that's the plan. That's the only plan I see, is isolation till a vaccine is found and distributed to the general public. I hope in the coming weeks and months this proves to be wrong. But I'm not going to sit here every day, every week, and say, well, I'll just wait. No. I'm going to go ahead, stock up for what I need, no more than what I need, and I'm going to get ready to initiate this plan. And that's all I can advise any of y'all to do. Now, I will be leaving links to many of the resources that I've used in the production of this video. I will also leave links to many good channels that are out there providing information on the coronavirus. Many of which, I'll just give a quick shout out now, not that it means much, because my channel's so small. One very good channel, and he's an old codger like me, from the UK, where I'm from the South, not from the UK. And he goes through this in great detail. He talks a little bit slow too, and ponders. But, he is an expert from the UK. He's been put on a lot of news programs, and that's Dr. John Campbell. Excellent YouTube channel if you want to learn more. Another one is Paul Cottrell's channel, Dr. Paul, his YouTube channel. Now, he's not a medical doctor, but he is a PhD. He actually works in the financial markets. Now, he did go to Harvard. At some point in time, he went to medical school, but apparently he changed routes in his life. He's very good. Another one, which I have included before, Peak Prosperity, and that's Chris Madison's channel. And he is a PhD, doctor as well, and holds a PhD in, I think, pathology from Duke University. Very smart man. Very good channel to watch as well. So, these are three I'm recommending to supplement what I'm telling you. And folks, I don't put this out there to make a dollar. Most of you know, and many of you should, I don't make a dollar off YouTube. You shouldn't be seeing the first damn ad on my videos for the simple reason, as of this time, my channel's not monetized. And it isn't because I couldn't. It's for my own personal reasons. And even if it was monetized, I would probably demonetize it myself. Because I'd feel really bad about making money off of what's about to be a global pandemic. I would feel bad about doing that. Now, I understand some don't. But I would. And I know a lot of channels are being demonetized for the simple fact that they have coronavirus in their title, or they even talk about it. See, I don't have that fear. YouTube knows my channel ain't monetized in the first place. That being said, they are very hesitant to recommend my videos. So I depend on each of you who watch it to share it with your family, your loved ones, your friends, to get the word out. And for those of you who don't like, slow-speaking old country gentlemen from the South, I'm sorry. Can't change who I am. I can't change the problems with my health that cause me to speak a little bit slower than normal, pause and hesitate. And I'm not going to go into all the reasons for that. I'll leave that up for you to sort of ponder and decide upon yourself. But if you don't like my videos, for God's sakes, quit watching them and quit making comments on every damn one of them on how slow I speak, where I'm from, or how I'm educated, or whatever. Just let it go, dudes. Get on with your life and leave the old little country engineer alone. Because I just do this for those I love. My children, my grandson, and many of my friends that are out there now in YouTube. They've become a part of the community here in this channel. With that said, I'd like to wish all of y'all a happy and healthy tomorrow. Until I see you on the next video, y'all take care. Stay safe. Prepare as you will. And may God bless each and every one of you. Not only in America, but throughout the world. Because if ever there was a time when we needed His blessings, I do believe we need them now. And I am a true believer in the power of prayer. And I really don't care what faith and religion you follow at this time. Goodbye, y'all. And we'll see you later.